Let's face it, none of us are ever going to actually sound like Jaco, but if we learn some of his licks, then we can at least revel in his genius a bit. And if we learn the theory behind those licks, we can apply them to our own playing and make them our own. So I'm going to show you a really cool Jaco solo lick that I really like that sounds like this. A 1, 2, 3, I pulled this lick from Jaco's Modern Electric Bass instructional video with Jerry Jamat. You can see the clip I pulled it from here. So Jerry is playing a simple supportive bass line over a D7 chord, that kind of thing. And Jaco is thinking for this one lick in D Lydian dominant, which is the fourth mode of A melodic minor. Okay, so let's analyze this real quick. From D, so we're starting on the 13. You could also think of that as the 6th note of the scale, but I'm going to be speaking in chord extensions because that's how jazz musicians tend to talk about this kind of stuff. And Jaco was, after all, a jazz musician, and a funk musician and a blues musician and all kinds of great things. But anyway, so we're starting on the 13, and then we're going to the sharp 11, down to the 9, down to the 7. So far we're just walking down an extended range arpeggio. We could just keep going down. But anyway, 13, sharp 11, 9, flat 7, 13, 5, sharp 11, 13, sharp 11, 5, 13. So all notes from this one D Lydian dominant scale. Fingering, real quick, I like to do, and this is similar to what Jaco did, pinky, index, middle, ring, middle, index, shift, index, pinky, index, middle, pinky. Sorry. So we can think of this as a D Lydian dominant lick starting on the 13, but we can also think of it as an A melodic minor lick starting on the 9. 9, 7, 5, 3, 2, 1, 7, 2, 7, 1, 2. And real quick, just to clarify how this rhythm is written out, I've written this with a fast quarter note, like here. Even though the groove, you could count the quarter note here, 1, 2, I kind of double timed it. And we're reading swing eighths because this is kind of a jazz feel, so it's typical to read swing eighths in that style. Okay, so now you know how to play the lick and what fingering to use and stuff, which is probably the least important part. And we talked about the analysis real quick of what scale degrees we're playing from the Lydian dominant or from the melodic minor. But the most important thing is to figure out how to put this in your playing. Otherwise, what's the point of learning this lick, right? So the first thing I would do, personally, is put on something fun to play along with, like this, which you can get as a bonus if you're one of my patrons on Patreon. So I would just play that lick as is, incorporate it into playing some other stuff that is in my vocabulary. Okay, and I already started doing the next thing, which is experimenting with different rhythms that use the same notes. So rather than thinking every time, what if I shifted over a beat or changed the lengths of some of the notes in the phrase? That's an easy way that I can get more musical ideas out of the same note choices. So let me try that out. So this is the original lick. I didn't like that one. A couple of them were good. So messing with the rhythm gives me a bunch of ideas and also gets me into the state that I really like to get into when I'm learning a new lick that I want to incorporate into my improvising, which is getting inspired by the lick. Like, I don't want to just know it so I can play it and be like, haha, I know Jaco licks. I do enjoy that. I do like going, haha, I know Jaco licks. Like I also played in that lick, in that solo, and I did that because I was like, aha, I know that lick from Barbary Coast too. So that is fun. But it's really that I want the choices Jaco made years and years ago to inspire me into that state of feeling like I'm creating music and having fun. So, so it's a nice way to get there, and finding the variations helps blend it more into my playing rather than just ripping it off. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about that's cool about this lick is that you can kind of think of it from an A melodic minor perspective. And I forgot to mention earlier, but this is basically a modification of the classic Cry Me a River lick, which is a really popular jazz standard. Cry me a river. Except that doesn't have the G sharp in it. It would just be da 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 do do. So we're adding the G sharp, making it melodic minory and a little bit more edgy. So it's not even a Jaco lick. It's Cry Me a River with a slight modification that he played this certain way that really grabbed me. But anyway, in Cry Me a River, this would be on an A chord, and we would be starting on the ninth. So what's cool about that we can try applying to your own playing, or our own playing, is thinking in A melodic minor while there's a D7 chord happening. And this is where modes get confusing for a lot of people, right? Because it's like, well, we're in D, so it's a D chord, so we should use a D scale, but the D scale is connected to the A scale, so you can also think in A, even though it's a D chord. It's weird, but that's how it works. So I think what confuses people about that is they think there's one correct way to think about it, and the reality is that they're both correct. You can think D, Lydian dominant, you can think A melodic minor, and the cool thing is that you'll tend to play different things even though those are the same thing. Just like if you use two different scale shapes, like I could use this scale shape to play Lydian dominant starting on my middle finger, or I could start on my index finger. And if I made myself improvise within the confines of those shapes, I would probably tend to play different things because different things would feel natural in the different positions. Similarly, if I think from D Lydian dominant, not definitely, but probably I'm going to be thinking about D in terms of resolution and chord tones and like where I put my tension and release. But if I'm thinking A melodic minor, even if I play the root of what I'm thinking of, it doesn't give me full resolution because I'm thinking on the fifth of the chord. And if I play my third, it's actually the seventh, and my fifth is actually the ninth. So I'm able to kind of sneak a little bit more tension into my playing by thinking from a different root note. So I'm still resolving things the way I might normally tend to, which as a bass player, let's face it, can be pretty root focused. But I'm transferring that over to a different root note. So if I just don't use the lick, but I use the concept of thinking from the melodic minor, well, there's the lick, but it's pretty interesting out-sounding stuff, right? It was a lot weirder and different than what I played when I was thinking Lydian dominant. There's a ton of other stuff we could do, but the last thing I'll leave you with is changing keys. If you only play this lick in the key of D, you're probably only going to remember that you know it when you play in the key of D. So I would recommend playing in at least a few other keys, if not all 12. So here's the key of E, so everything's going to be up a whole step. So either E Lydian dominant or B melodic minor, right? So that means we're going to start on a C sharp. And voila, I have new fun ideas for the key of E also, and if you do enough of that, in my experience, if I do that in a few keys, then it kind of bleeds into my playing without having to religiously play every lick I learn in every single key every single time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you get more out of this than just one lick. I hope that it influences the way that you learn licks and integrate them into your playing in the future, and how you think about playing over dominant chords. This is a really cool approach to think in the melodic minor of the 5 of the chord you're on. My supporters at Patreon will have these extended play-along tracks to look forward to, as well as a little bonus video with some more lesson content about this lick. And if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe and make sure you click the bell so that you actually get notified when I put out videos. Otherwise, YouTube will just bury them underneath videos of cats eating lemons. So if you want to do that, you can. If you don't want to do that, don't do it. I support you. But if you enjoy these videos, hopefully I'll see you around next time. Be well.